Remember, if there's extra time, always do the Alex topics until I start. So your agenda for today is simplifying fractions. Your homework is going to be all of it. And then remember to do your Alex topics. And quiz on Friday. So I'm telling you right now, today, that your quiz is on Friday. What's going to be on the quiz? I went over this with you yesterday, but just in case you didn't listen. Mean, median, mode, range, outlier, trapezoid, and fractions. So today's do now is a perfect example of your quiz on Friday. Today on the do now, I asked you for mode and median, and I gave you a trapezoid one, right? So on trapezoid was number 1 on your do now. And I'm going to give you some fractions, which is what we started doing yesterday. On the homework, you're going to have a mean question on your homework. So try your very best on the homework that I have here in my hand. Because remember, your test questions come from your homework. So you want to practice on the homework. So you try your very, very best. And you see if you get it right tomorrow. So that on the quiz on Friday, you're like, oh, I've done this so many times. I'm not going to score low. I hope. All right. This is driving me insane. Insane. I don't know why today it just keeps dropping like every 2 seconds. It's frustrating. All right. So I'm going to review with you today how to simplify fractions. Because you kind of should already know. But, you know. All right. So yesterday we added and subtracted fractions. Today, on 9/17, 24. That's not an excuse. Okay, Oscar, you leave them alone. Okay, simplifying fractions. So from now on, you gotta make sure you simplify those fractions. Have you done this before? Yes, you have. Okay. So when we simplify fractions, for example, 10 over 18, what math is involved when we...
Multiply.
No.
Divide.
Division. So when you simplify, the math that is involved is actually division. You have to think of a number that you can divide the top and the bottom by, and it has to be the same number. So what can I divide 10 and 18 by?
0. Because there's no enough
2.
to divide it.
What can I divide by?
2.
2. I can divide 10 by 2, and I can divide 18 by 2. So we're looking for the greatest common factor, which is what you learned in 6th grade, greatest common factor.
5, 9.
So 10 divided by 2,
5.
18 divided by 2,
9.
9. So this is called simplified. Can I divide 5 and 9 by something?
No.
Nope, so you're done. This would be the final answer that we're looking for. What if I give you...
Oh, that's 18. I thought it was 8.
35 and 40.
5 divided by 5.
What can I divide 35 and 40 by?
5.
All right, so we're going to take the top number and the bottom number, and we're both going to divide these by 5. What's 35 divided by 5?
7.
What's 40 divided by 5? 8. Now, what if, just in case you're like, I'm not really good at dividing, Miss Melly. So what you do is you literally use your multiplication table to divide. So we decided that we're going to divide by 5, right? So, and I have 35 and 40. So in your multiplication table, you go to the line for 5 because we decided we're going to divide by 5. And then you find these numbers, 35 and 40. So here I am on 5. I'm going to find 35. There it is. You go straight up, and that's your answer. 7. What was the other number? 40. So I go on the line for 5 and I find 40. There it is. I go straight up. What's my answer? 8. So that's how I can use a multiplication to actually divide. Now what if you're like, Miss Amelia, I don't even know how you got 5 from. Well, that's a little tricky with the multiplication table. You have to find 35 and 40 on the same line. So it's like, oh, there's 35. Is 40 on the same line? Nope. Oh, there's 35. Is 40 on the same line? Yes. Oh, so they're both on this same line. That means I'm going to use the 5 to divide. All right? Okay. Does anybody know what can I divide 30 and 170 by? What can I divide 30 and 170?
5.
I could.
10.
But I like 10 better. I do. Here's my shortcut for you to put in the back of your brain. Do they both end in 0? Yes. So if they both end in 0, guess what number you can use always?
0.
If they both end in 0, you can always divide by 10. If they both end in 0, you can divide by 10. What's 30 divided by 10? And then 170 divided by 10? 17. When you divide by 10, all you're doing is getting rid of the zeros. When you're dividing by 10, all you're doing is getting rid of the zeros.
That's how you do your 7?
Mm-hmm.
Why does everyone do your 7 like that?
Because they can.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. All right, so here we go. We're recording, but
More fancy.
okay. So let's write that down. So if it ends in a 0, you can divide by what? If it ends in 0? 10. If it ends in 0, you can divide by 10. What if it ends, they both end in a 0 or a 5? What can you divide by? If it ends in 0 or 5, what if it ends in a 5?
5.
Yes. So if they end in a 0 or a 5, if they end in a 0 or 5, you can divide by 5. If it ends in zeros, you can divide by 10. What numbers can you always divide by 2?
I can't see that. Numbers that end with 2?
And? What numbers can you divide by 2?
All numbers that are even.
All the numbers that are what?
Even.
Even, which are
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13,
2, 4, 6, 8, 0. Because I'm looking for the ending, right? So if a number ends in a 2, a 4, a 6, an 8, or a 0, what number will always work? 2. You can divide by 2. Now, can you also divide by bigger numbers?
Yep.
Yes. So, but when you're stuck and you're like, I don't know what to divide by, I'm not really good at multiplying and dividing, these are some shortcuts you can try. You might have to divide 2 times instead of 1 time, but it's okay. So if they end in these numbers, start with 2. But if you see a bigger number, obviously use the bigger number. A 0 or 5, divide by 5. This is our second example we did today. So this would be the second example. This would be the third example we did, right? This is dividing by 10. So this is the example, okay? All right. (22 and 40). What can I divide 22 and 40 by? If you don't, if like you're struggling, let's pretend like you're struggling. Look at the last 2 digits. What do they end with? 2 and 0. What did Miss O'Malley say about numbers that end in 2 or 0? We can divide by 2. So that's a good place to start. So everybody divide this by 2. Everybody divide this by 2.
11.
No, just keep it to yourself. People want to quietly work. All right, what's our answer? What's 22 divided by 2? No. 11. And then 40 divided by 2? 20. And then double check. Can I divide anything else, 11 and 20? Nope, so you're done. Sometimes you do have to divide more than once. Especially if sometimes when you use 2, you have to do it more than once. It's fine. Have you done this before in other grades? Yes. This is not new. Maybe the dividing by 10 is new. Like, oh, I didn't realize every time it ends in a 0, I can divide by 10. All right, try these 3 problems on your own. Try those 3 problems on your own. I'll get some H2O in me. Okay, so you should have done mode. Now let's look at range, which is the next easiest one. So let's look at number 4. How do I do range?
Give me a second.
Find the difference.
The difference between the biggest number and the smallest number.
Yep, so we have to find the biggest number,
Yeah, biggest.
and we have to find the smallest number. So let me underline the biggest number and the smallest number for number 4. Which number is your biggest number?
456.
Okay, I'm going to underline it. What's my smallest number?
98.
Okay, what am I going to do with these 2 numbers?
Minus. Oh wait.
Yeah,
No,
minus.
subtract.
456 minus 98. Now, if you're not here, I'm recording this, so you can always go back and watch it. But let's not have our hands crossed like we're not doing any work. That's just terrible. Alright, so can everybody subtract that on their paper? Everybody subtract that on their paper. We're done with the fractions. Good. Very good.
I'm your sweater too. So. I'm your sweater. So.
And this was given this one? Thursday. Thursday or Friday? Friday? Should it actually right below the pink paper on the very top? Yeah. Don't ask me why it's there. It's there. Okay, what did we get when we subtracted and borrowed twice? Yes, Dylan? 358? Agreed, Oscar?
Yep.
Okay. Can you do all the ranges now? So that would be number 8, 12, dark green, orange, pink, and that's it. Yep, we're doing the range. So we're all doing the same math. What's the range? Let's keep working. What's the range when you find the biggest number minus the smallest number? Okay.
Biggest number is 1, 10.8. Smallest number
No, 2.6. Let's have finished with number 8. Number 8 is 2.6. 2.6? No, it's not. No, it's not. How much? 8.2. Yeah, it's 8.2. The smallest?
Yeah. No, the biggest.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the answer.
Oh. Easy though. Everything else. Are we gonna do some 8th grade math?
I'm good with 7.
Don't say that because you struggle on me.
So we're doing the range or we subtract? Do all the range, subtract. Big minus small. What's your big number? What's your small number? Subtract. Big minus small.
When are we gonna change seats?
You're the one who's changed seats every 2 seconds.
Can I